Turkey's foreign minister says Ankara is interested in cooperating more with BRICS, a bloc of emerging economies. Moscow was quick to welcome the news ahead of a meeting with the group's foreign ministers next week. Where do BRICS countries stand on major issues facing the world, and do they align with Ankara? I'll break it all down here on Strait Talk. Hello and welcome to Strait Talk. I'm Ayse Suberker. Named after its founding members, BRICS, a group of emerging economies led by Russia and China, has been touted as a serious challenger to the Western-led economic order. During his recent trip to Beijing, Turkish Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan said that in addition to a customs union with the European Union, Ankara was exploring new trade opportunities with groups like BRICS. Does Turkey have similar interests with the bloc? Let's take a look at this report.
Turkey's top diplomat Hakan Fidan called for a fairer world during his recent trip to Beijing. He also wanted new opportunities to cooperate with groups like BRICS, a bloc of emerging economies founded by Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. The Kremlin was swift to respond, saying, "We of course all welcome the increased interest in BRICS on part of our neighbors, including such important partners as Turkey." This is not the first time Ankara has signaled interest in cooperating with the Russian and Chinese-led bloc. In 2018, Turkey attended a BRICS summit in Johannesburg as an observer, calling for more cooperation on energy and trade. If Turkey were to become BRICS' newest member, it would follow several other countries that joined this year. 40 others have also shown interest, and for good reason. By 2023, BRICS economies made up 32% of the world's GDP, compared to just 30% held by the G7 countries. But could Turkey embrace a group that many have called a serious challenger to the Western-led order? Ever since Russia launched its attack on Ukraine, BRICS members have so far resisted imposing major sanctions on Moscow. Boosting trade in local currencies, the members are now developing alternatives to the West-backed SWIFT payment system. The BRICS' new development bank is also set to provide alternatives to the US dollar, while shielding members from sanctions. For countries like Russia and Iran, which have been under crippling US-led embargoes, the stakes couldn't be higher. Last month, G7 finance ministers said they aim to use profits from frozen Russian assets to assist Ukraine. Russian President Vladimir Putin immediately signed a decree allowing the seizure of US holdings. And it's not just in Ukraine where the lines are being drawn. BRICS countries have condemned the dire humanitarian situation in Gaza. In December, South Africa initiated a genocide case against Israel at the International Court of Justice. The move has since been backed by Turkey. Last week, Brazil recalled its ambassador from Israel, capping off President Lula da Silva's months of condemnation. And earlier this week, Fidan and his Chinese counterpart both added to calls for the establishment of a Palestinian state. Turkey's top diplomat is also set to attend the BRICS foreign ministers meeting in Russia next week. Fidan's attendance will definitely raise more questions about Ankara's interest in cooperating with BRICS and the effect it could have on the future of these two diverging global power centers.
And for more on Turkey's interest in cooperating more with BRICS, joining me now from Vienna is Harvey Dzodin. He's a senior fellow at the Center for China and Globalization. From Ankara, Suay Nilhan Acikalin. She is an associate professor at Ankara Haci Bayram Veli University. And from Uppsala, Sweden, Gregory Simons. He is a research specialist on contemporary armed conflicts. A warm welcome to you all, and thanks for joining me on Strait Talk. So, Suay, let me begin with you. Turkish Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan, during his visit to China, expressed the country's interest in forging more cooperation with groups like BRICS. What do you make of it, and what areas could Turkey cooperate on with these member states?
Thank you, Ayse. Yes, the Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan mentioned that Turkey maybe will have willingness to join BRICS, but it's not a new sign of the willingness of Turkey, because in 2018, in the summit where the President Erdogan joined, he also expressed that Turkey has a lots of opportunity to cooperate BRICS as a member. I think the most of the main reason behind it, the geopolitical changes, power vacuums, and mostly the changing landscape of the economy from West to the Asia plays a vital role why the Turkey wants to be part of the BRICS. And I think the biggest area where we can make the cooperation together with the BRICS countries, of course, mostly trade and the finance sector, which has been already focused on the de-dollarization in last year's summit.
So, Gregory, many have called BRICS a serious challenger to the Western-led order, which Turkey has been a strong member of through NATO and its customs union with the European Union. So how would Ankara's deeper cooperation with BRICS resonate in the Western world, especially in Washington?
I'm not sure it would resonate so positively because, of course, if you deal in the dollar, the Americans have a weapon against you, and they've been doing that with different countries. And of course, Turkey pursues its own interests and its independent foreign policy. And this has been a source for tensions with the West, and especially the United States. So this would be a good means of hedging against the West. And of course, the West doesn't like that because their regime of economic warfare is getting less effective.
So, Harvey, China's foreign minister said Beijing is ready to strengthen economic alignment, strategic alignment, with Turkey to counter power politics on the international stage. So what kind of an alignment was he talking about? I mean, could Turkey's potential inclusion into BRICS serve as a balancing force in world politics?
Well, absolutely it can, because Turkey and the Ottoman Empire and its predecessors are geopolitically very important. So you have to say they're a bridge between East and West, North and South. And so I believe if Turkey was a member of BRICS, that could serve this bridging function that's very important in our very divided world where we're all into different camps and we're often not even talking to each other. So I think Turkey's membership in BRICS would serve a very positive purpose, and it would be welcomed by some in Washington, but by many in China.
So, Suay, as a founding member, Russia swiftly welcomed Ankara's desire of deeper cooperation with the bloc and said it is ready to provide full assistance. So what's at stake for Moscow in drawing Turkey closer to these groupings?
Well, Ayse, especially after the Russian-Ukrainian war, it's clearly seen that the Russia and the Turkey's relations has been growing, especially in energy and trade, as well as the finance sector. And especially after the effect of the isolation of Russia by West through the economic sanctions, make much more vulnerable Russia, and coming together for new possibilities of together with the Turkey under the multilateralism framework of the BRICS. So in this respect, I think Russia seems to be much more pragmatic approach, of course, especially in terms of energy, trade and other issues, working together with the Turkey while they are trying to imposing the dollarization through the BRICS.
So, Gregory, the issue will be discussed at our BRICS ministerial meeting next week in Russia. What do you think will be on the agenda?
Well, I think the next batch of countries or candidates to join BRICS will definitely be on it. And as has been mentioned already, the pragmatic but and yet cordial relations between Russia and Turkey, especially at the level of president, will facilitate any such discussions, of course.
So, Harvey, what do you think? I mean, what could BRICS offer Turkey in terms of trade and finances? I mean, could it be a serious alternative to the European Union, or they would complement one another?
Well, we have these European Union elections now.
Yes.
And the forecast is that the elections are going to move far to the right. And so probably the EU will be even less disposed to Turkey than it has been in the past, which isn't very much, actually. So I believe that joining BRICS would also be helpful for Turkey as maybe it transitions away from an interest in EU. So I think that the BRICS country could actively contribute an investment in infrastructure projects, which can help Turkey modernize its infrastructure, by attracting significant new sources of financial resources. And I think it could cooperate with the technologically advanced countries like China and India and help Turkey gain access to cutting-edge technologies and innovations. And members of BRICS can contribute to strengthening Turkey's financial stability by accessing alternative financing sources and credit lines by the member countries.
So, Suay, what are your thoughts on that? I mean, could Turkey's possible membership into the bloc contribute or hurt Ankara's relations with the European Union and the West? I mean, how would the EU view this, you think?
Well, until if you look over the EU's general policy and the approach when Turkey tried to extend its horizon towards the BRICS or another international organization, unfortunately, it was the negative sense. In this respect, I have to say that we already see that the very unwillingness attitude of Brussels regarding the modernization of the custom union. But maybe this BRICS could be hurt, but at the same time, it should be a signal that and Turkey still keep the position regarding the EU membership, modernization of the custom union. But at the same time, Turkey also has a loss of opportunity along with the EU itself.
So do you think this could expedite the process of modernizing Turkey's customs union deal with the European Union?
Well, right now, we already have lots of legal basements already prepared in previous years. But right now, this is the only need. What we need from the EU or the Brussels side is just positive movement towards the Turkey. So I think maybe the September, when the Hungary area will start in the presidency, we could see some positive attitudes. But until now, unfortunately, they seem a little bit unwillingness.
So, Gregory, Turkey has long saw itself as a bridge between the East and West. Could it continue that role of having a foot in both worlds by cooperating more with BRICS?
I think by entering into BRICS, Turkey stands a better chance to play an even more essential role as a bridge between the global north and global south, because this would be one of the means of ensuring that Turkey is a subject and not an object of international relations, which the global north seems to be trying to turn other countries into through economic warfare and so forth.
So, Harvey, many analysts have predicted that BRICS will one day have greater influence than the G7 currently has. Is this a realistic outcome, or are there too many internal divisions within BRICS to make it an effective bloc in the long term?
BRICS is quite new, actually, isn't it? And BRICS Plus is even newer. So, yes, there are a lot of internal obstacles to developing further and to speaking with one voice. But I think having the BRICS is very important because it provides another opportunity for like-minded countries to get together and to fashion their positions and their cooperation with other blocs in the world now. And I think that's very important since we're so divided at the moment.
So, Suay, one major tool of BRICS group is this new development bank, which has been called a rival to the IMF and the World Bank. The new development bank hopes to help its members deal with the volatility of the US dollar and shield them from sanctions and other Western economic penalties. So could Turkey benefit by working with it?
I believe that in the middle term and the long term, Turkey will benefit it because this new development pact, as we've seen in their statement in the last summit, also gives some providence to member states, different projects regarding the trade and the finance markets. And I think it would be a great opportunity for Turkey, but also at the same time, I should remind that right now Turkey is keeping a new economic policies, fighting against the inflation and current economic issues. So at the same time, these kind of opportunities will help to also curb our domestic economic issues as well.
So I just want to say on the issue of US dollar and Western sanctions, the deputy chair of Russia's Security Council and former President Dmitry Medvedev recently said, I quote, Russia may respond to any U.S. confiscation of its currency reserves frozen in the West by seizing the assets, including property and cash of U.S. citizens and investors in Russia. So, Gregory, how serious is this threat and what sort of ripple effects or precedent would it start?
Well, I mean, the first point, the escalation is started by the United States for proposing such seizure of assets, which is absolutely contradictory to all kinds of law and ways of doing things. And of course, I mean, the Russians are not going to be passive in this. So, I mean, he should be taken at his word. They will probably do that. But now this depends on the level of arrogance and determination by the United States to continue violating international law by seizing those assets. And of course, this will just mean that BRICS becomes much more relevant, the US dollar becomes much more irrelevant, and so you'll continue and maybe accelerate the drift towards the global south with the influence and the power.
So, Harvey, what do you think? How do you think the Russian threat will play out?
I think that the U.S. has shot itself in the foot because of the fact that you have instability in the dollar, and it will move the world to a BRICS currency or another form of currency. So I think the U.S. was acting in a very short-term way and didn't consider the long-term consequences.
Harvey, I want to continue with you again. BRICS countries have economies, we all know that, are vastly different in scale and governments with very different divergent foreign policy goals. Is this a complicating factor for the bloc's consensus decision-making model? For example, I mean, why do you think it has chosen to admit countries that many say could go to war in the very near future, like Egypt and Ethiopia?
Well, I'd like to think that when BRICS made that decision, part of the decision-making process was that BRICS could have a positive influence on avoiding such a war, which is right now quite possible. So I hope that it was a positive decision to help its members maintain peaceful relations.
So, Suay, BRICS, which differs with the Western world on global economic issues, has also diverged when it comes to security issues engulfing the world. So most BRIC countries have resisted going along with the crippling sanctions the West has imposed on Russia over the war in Ukraine. So the question is this unity in resisting Western pressure against Russia holding?
Well, I think the most strongest part of the BRICS, or the most powerful dimension of the BRICS, is they have a representation from different geography. But if you look over the G7 or Western bloc, we can say most of those countries comes from the Western part of the world. And these kind of the strength position of the BRICS that kind of created resistance when it comes to the Western bloc foreign policy choices. And I think these attitudes regarding the major sanctions on Russia is not only limited with their sanction on Russia, but mostly BRICS countries are totally against the Western pressure when it comes to the economic and financial dominance of the Western countries, especially when on the using of the US dollars on the world trade.
So, Gregory, another conflict besides Russia's war on Ukraine that the majority of BRICS members are aligned on is Gaza. So Brazil has recalled its ambassador in Israel. South Africa has submitted a genocide case against Israel. So could BRICS evolve into a platform that adds pressure to resolve conflicts like what's happening in Gaza right now?
Well, I mean, politically, it's uniting those countries. And also, I mean, they can see that the so-called rules-based order is not only being indifferent to genocide and ethnic cleansing, but it's actually facilitating it. So, I mean, this is going to bring the global south together, and BRICS included. I mean, this is an excellent thing which can get them on the same page, even if there are differences elsewhere.
So, Harvey, out of all the founding members of BRICS, India hasn't been as vocal against Israel's onslaught on Gaza. So, do differences among member states when it comes to security matters threaten to create a disunity within this grouping, for example?
Yes, it's possible. But I think it's very important that BRICS exists because internally it gives the member countries an opportunity to discuss issues of common concern. So BRICS, I think, on some levels, should first focus on economic issues, because those are easier to resolve. But on these political issues, I think that it's going to take a long time for them to coalesce on viewpoints, but they have to keep talking about it.
So, Suay, when you break down the BRICS members' positions on most of the conflicts and security matters in the world, does it align more with Ankara's positions than, say, G7, for example?
Well, it is not an easy question, Ayse, because the BRICS member countries mostly try to focus on the economic issues. And when they try to develop political dialogue or political approach, it's mostly based on their economic perspective as well. So when it comes to the security and conflict issues, it's not easy to say there will be one voice regarding the current issues in the world. So I think we will see much more diverse perspective on the different issues.
So, Gregory, more than 40 countries have said they would like to join BRICS. So if this expansion continues, especially with countries from the global south, what would that mean for the world?
It would mean a couple of things. One of them is positive insofar as this continued shift of power, influence and wealth going to the global south away from the global north. But secondly, the trick which they need to learn, which is how to manage differences and not resort to this infantilism which the West engages in, this speak with one voice. Why speak with one voice? There are many different perspectives. They should embrace pluralism, but learn how to negotiate and navigate pluralism effectively so that you can still function even if you're not agreeing completely on all points.
So, Harvey, why do you think there's an increasing interest from countries around the world to join this bloc? I mean, and if it expanded further, how would that impact already strained ties between the United States and China?
I think so many countries want to join because the members are representative of the Global South and powerful members of the Global South, and that they new members probably would benefit a lot more initially than what they could contribute. And I think, though, about the political question, of course, as BRICS becomes more powerful, it's going to be a threat to the U.S., especially with the U.S.'s strong positions. But come November, we have to see who's going to be elected. If President Trump is reelected, all bets are off, and we don't know how this is going to go.
All right, Harvey, Suay, and Gregory, unfortunately, we'll have to leave it here. Thank you very much for joining me on Strait Talk. And that's all for this edition of Strait Talk with me, Ayse Suberker. If you've got any comments, please share them with us on X at Strait Talk TRT. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Until next time, take care and goodbye.